The stone walls of St. Clare prison wept with dampness, their chill seeping into the bones of every woman confined within. In the late 14th century, such prisons were not designed for long-term incarceration, but as holding cells, grim antechambers to trial, punishment, or execution. Yet for Agnes, 20 years old with hair the color of sun-bleached wheat now dulled by grime, this cell had become her entire world. She wore the standard garb of a female prisoner, a coarse, undyed shift of rough wool that scratched her skin and offered little warmth, a far cry from the fine kirtles and surcoats of her former life. Once, Agnes had been the daughter of a minor nobleman in the northern provinces. Now, accused of stealing silver from her betrothed's household, a crime she may or may not have committed, she was cast among thieves, beggars, and women accused of witchcraft. But Agnes refused to be broken. Instead, she ruled her corner of the shared cell with venomous wit and sharp elbows. Rat-face, she'd sneer at Marta, an elderly woman whose teeth had long since abandoned her. Still chewing straw like its bread. Lena, a quiet seamstress barely 16, would flinch whenever Agnes passed, clutching her thin shawl tighter. Agnes delighted in this. Power, however small, was all she had left. She hoarded crusts of black bread, claimed the driest patch of straw, and mocked the others for their tears. Crying won't open these bars, she'd say coldly. Only fools weep in prison. The other women endured in silence. In medieval women's prisons, solidarity was rare, survival was solitary. Death from cold, disease, or despair was common. Yet whispers of Agnes's cruelty eventually reached the ears of Mistress Aara, the prison's female overseer, a rare but documented role in certain urban detention centers where female inmates required supervision by women. Aara was no stranger to suffering. Broad-shouldered and sharp-eyed, she wore a simple woolen gown and leather apron. Her hair bound tightly beneath a linen wimple. Unlike the male gaolers who might resort to chains or starvation, Aara believed discipline should shame, not scar. She'd seen Agnes shove Lena into the slop bucket, heard her mimic Marta's wheezing cough. But the final straw came when Lena's small wooden comb, carved by her mother before the fever took her, vanished from her straw pallet. Trembling, Lena pointed a shaking finger at Agnes. She took it, the girl whispered. It's all I have left. That evening, as the chapel bell tolled vespers, Aara appeared at the cell door. Agnes, she said, her voice calm, but edged like a blade. Come with me. Agnes scoffed. Why? Am I to be hanged at last? No, Aara replied. You are to learn humility. 2 burly guards escorted Agnes to the central chamber, a cold, vaulted room lit by a single tallow candle. There, Aara gestured to a wooden bench. Sit. Agnes hesitated, then sat with a defiant toss of her tangled hair. But when the guards pinned her arms and ankles gently yet firmly, panic flickered in her eyes. What is this? You dare bind me like a common criminal. You are a common criminal, Aara said evenly. From a leather pouch, she withdrew a goose feather, soft, white, and utterly harmless. Then she began. First, the feather traced the sensitive hollow beneath Agnes's ribs. Agnes jerked, then laughed, a sharp, startled sound. Stop, she gasped, but Aara moved to her bare feet, calloused from stone floors, but still ticklish. The laughter grew louder, uncontrollable, bubbling up like a spring she couldn't dam. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not from sorrow, but from the sheer, humiliating loss of control. Mercy. Agnes choked between peals of laughter. Please, Ilara, I beg you. The overseer paused. Do you understand now? Power is not in cruelty. It is in restraint. Agnes, breathless and trembling, could only nod. When she was released, she stumbled back to the cell, her face flushed, her pride in tatters. The other women watched in silence. At her pallet, she found Lena curled in the corner. Without a word, Agnes reached into her sleeve and placed the wooden comb in the girl's palm. Lena looked up, eyes wide. Why? Because, Agnes whispered, even rats deserve their dignity. That night, for the first time, Agnes did not mock the other's sobs. She lay on her straw, staring at the narrow slit of moonlight piercing the high window. The prison still stank of mildew and despair. The walls still wept. But within her, something had shifted. She was no longer a tyrant. She was simply human. And in the brutal arithmetic of medieval imprisonment, that fragile humanity was the rarest treasure of all.